taking underdogs, kids, being the school that nobody expects to knock them off. Those are great things. You know, when you're a favorite or when you're a big state, when I was at the University of Florida, you're supposed to win, and when somebody loses to Florida or Chapel Hill, it was not, I don't think it hurt as bad. But I like to be the one, I love being where, God, we got beat by South Carolina. That's what I miss, is when one of our kids can beat somebody and I can see, yes, thank you, Curtis, you did a great job. Golly, you guys. I love that expression on some of the big dogs.
Curtis Frye has seen almost everything in his career as a track and field coach. He recently retired after 27 years leading the Gamecock program. He's coached national, Olympic, and world champions. Now he's got some time on his hands, and he joins us now on Gamecock Talk.
All right, Coach. Well, congratulations on your retirement, I guess. Why was this the right time for you to call it a career?
I have no idea. 27 years is a lot of fun, and you can only have so much fun. I wish everybody could be like me. You know, I've enjoyed it, and hey, it's something I'd do. I better not say that. I'd do it for small pay like I did, because I enjoy what I do.
What went into the decision?
Just not being at the level that I like being at. That became the one of the giants in the room. Recruiting, not being able to land the 5 stars, because that's what you got to have. I mean, and that's you got to have a number of them. And this league right here is the best league in the country, and it needed somebody that can land those 5 stars. And I just felt this was it was time for the change, because Carolina, we built it to a point that it was a 5-star. Mm-hmm. It has some occasions when we are, you know, and it, you know, hadn't been enough of those. I mean, since it's been 3 years since we've been able to be a top 15, a number 8 indoors 4 years ago. And so we are consistently, I expect everything I've ever done, except to be contending or have a contender or have an Olympian from the day I first got started.
Was that hard for you?
Oh, very hard. It's just tough to get to the meet. And we had a couple of wins this year in the mile, the premier event in the country, but I didn't have a sprint champion and we had some kids that's going to the American Championship, but it's just not the same as being one of the players, being somebody that determines who it is that's going to win. If you're not going to win, you want to determine who does. And those are the things that always chaw at you. Is how can you do that? And it became a point of you have to change. And I think we waited too long. It became where international was the game you have to play. Mm-hmm. To get 5 stars, you have to play international. Our tennis plays and our golf plays international. Track we're good in America, so I tried to play domestic, and probably 3 years ago should have went more international, and that was something. And I think that's unless you're a hot item, I'm telling you, we've got the right guy. Mm-hmm. He's a hot item, and so he can play the domestic game. And that's important. I think it's important that our Olympic team, World Championship team, give the opportunity to the taxpayer. I mean, I believe our system should be where kids that grow up in America get an opportunity to compete with the best facilities in the country. And in the state of South Carolina, they get to enjoy success at that. And track is the #1 sport in the world. And so I think that we need to be testing for the best kids in the country to play here, run here.
Well, what will you do now?
I think I'll just sound my horn. Then I always believe that you should leave things better than were, or you should also be a part of the solution of the things you think that are not better. And right now, as I tell Ray, I'm to his disposal, to the University of South Carolina disposal. 27 years I've raised 3 kids. 1 played football here, and I built my family here, my church, New Ebenezer Baptist Church, and that family. John Scott is my best friend in the state legislature, and I asked Levy Johnson introduced me to a different life here. I don't. Everybody else wants to go to the beach or go to the mountain and have a cabin. I'm vested too much in the betterment of South Carolina and Columbia, so I don't have any reason. There's nothing to run from. My grandkids are here. My school is here. I mean, I could go down and do homecoming at East Carolina, where I was an alumnus, or lots of kids still would like to have me come back in the area of Chapel Hill, Raleigh, where I had a lot of graduates, and they play in my Frye Foundation golf tournament. Coach Frye, you can just come play golf up here with us on some. That's always good, but every time I see somebody that's retiring and they're doing that, they're running from. To me, they're running away from where they weren't happy. Well, that's not the case here for me. I'm not unhappy.
What will you miss the most about coaching?
Taking underdogs, kids, being the school that nobody expects to knock them off. Those are great things. You know, when you're a favorite or when you're a big state, when I was at the University of Florida, you're supposed to win, and when somebody loses to Florida or Chapel Hill, it was not. I don't think it hurt as bad. But I like to be the one. I love being where, God, we got beat by South Carolina. That's what I miss. It's when one of our kids can beat somebody, and I can see, yes, thank you, Curtis, you did a great job. Golly, you guys. I love that expression on some of the big dogs. You know, when you beat an Oregon guy and you win a national, it's just that thing. We're a little state with 4 million people, and you know, you got states that got Georgia's got they got 11 million people in Atlanta. Florida's got 18 million people, and whenever you go to Texas and you knock them off, it just kind of knifes. So when you see an Olympian or a gold medalist and they go, how did that one get away from being one of those schools? That's what I love about Shane Beamer, and I love about Dawn Staley, and I love about Shelley. You know, we have some hot spots. Our big thing in the hot spot is the new elephant in the room, NIL. I mean, name, image, and likeness, and how we, while it's hot as a school, keep them where they got an even playing field. We got to get in it while it's hot and help play. We got to get our alumni and companies in this state that benefit from the best international business school in the world to say we want to get our brand out to where the rest of the world can see South Carolina and what it does on a high level. Athletics is the first page. So what do? Keep tooting the horn that between 85 and 95, that's where I grew up and that's where I live, is the greatest place in the world to live. And athletics can be the greatest avenue for others to enjoy what we have in this part of the world. And that's my mission. I love tooting horns.
You've seen a lot of changes in the landscape of college athletics during your career. You mentioned some of them just in recent years. So with that being said, what won't you miss perhaps about coaching? I know that it's a grind 365.
Really? Personally, there's not the changes that everyone else struggled with is how the kids are now, and are they paying to play, and there were other things prior to that. I have seen so many changes in my 49 years in coaching. I learned that those that adjust quickest, that don't try to live in the past, that how it was, they're the ones that don't get left behind. And I think institutions like South Carolina, who progressed in the 27 years I've gone here from been 132 to 100 and dropped 32 places to 100 and dropped from 100 to where it's in the top 50 public institutions in the country, has grown quicker than any other public school in the country, grown in number from that point. So, hey, it's a marketable institution. If it moves as quick in the next 27 years, it'll be the only school that'll be in the top 15 public schools in the country, while those schools that are in there have not moved. They've changed places. Michigan, North Carolina, Florida, University of Virginia, Cal Berkeley, all of them juggle. South Carolina is on a mad rush into being in that juggle because it's moved from the longest in my 27. What have I seen? I've seen struggles, and I've sit on stages with presidents and been able to go to and be near where Oprah Winfrey introduces Barack Obama. How can a country boy from North Carolina get a chance to be in an atmosphere where Oprah Winfrey and Barack Obama in the state of South Carolina, and if we don't elect that, we don't win here, Obama doesn't win in South Carolina in the Democratic election, he don't get to move on. So impact, had some impact, been around impact. I'm just thrilled. My mama is in heaven just smiling at, hey, he made a difference in some lives of some kids that were called special admit, 5 or 6 that became doctors, that were 3 of them from the state of South Carolina that wouldn't have been here if athletics hadn't have been their avenue, and they end up being able to be surgeons and pediatricians and national champions at the same time. So do you have an impact? And that's what the ultimate goal has been. Impact every life, so those lives impact others' lives, and that's, I feel joy.
Well, one thing that hasn't changed in your career, and you touched on this, is the number of quality student athletes that have come through here that you've coached, that are national champions, world champions, Olympic champions. This is probably an unfair question, but what do you consider the most memorable moments of your career?
They're too numerous, and I would leave out some really, 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 really important one, and that's what's our name. But I had a little girl once that thought I was saying that she was going to be number 8, and because I had 2 people in the finals, and I said we need to get 10 points out of this event. And I think I saw her eyes water because she thought I meant that she was going to get, I said we need to get 11. I actually was thinking we were going to go 3rd and 4th. But for some reason, she thought I meant that she was going to be, get 1 point and be 8, and that the other person was going to get 1. And that little person rose up, and she got first and got 10. And the other person got what? Got the 6 that I thought we was going to get. She exceeded expectations out of the feeling that the underdog that I tell them all that we are. She was shorter than everybody in the field. And that person went on to become a doctor the next year instead of going to the Olympic trials after they'd been in the NCAA champion. And that always leaves something to me that always felt great, that You don't have to be the biggest dog. You don't have to come from the biggest place. As long as you believe that you are as good as everybody that's in the race.
Who was that?
Amerly Nesbitt.
Okay, all right. Similar question, and again, unfair with all the student athletes you've had come through here and you've coached in your career. Who's the best athlete you've ever coached? And you've seen some great ones.
Marion Jones.
Yeah.
Yeah. I feel sad I didn't bring Marion with me when I came here. It was the greatest ever. Alan Johnson's a gold medalist. Dennis Mitchell was a gold medalist. Aileen Bailey was a gold medalist. Terrence Trammell, that's just saying, you can say those names, it's like who's in the class. It's a small class. Terrence Trammell's got to be in that class. Two-time medalist. But Marion Jones could do things at 16 years old. I had her at 16, turning 17. That just hadn't been a lot of people I've seen since. It's unfortunate, but Marion was incredible. LaChinda Demas was awesome. So there's just too many. At East Carolina, I'm the best ever. Carter Suggs have to fit in. That's the first one I influenced to come to East Carolina University. Dennis Mitchell, University of Florida. I celebrate all of them that were medalists, but it all started with Carter Ray Suggs. And it all started with the first day that they asked me to be the soccer coach when I had already been the volunteer assistant track coach that was and they had to have someone there, and the president, Leo Jenkins, was running for governor, and he knew I helped run campaigns for student body president. I run a group called Souls and created my own political group called EBO, Independent Black Organization. And I was really a pain in the butt. My mother raised us to, if we see something wrong, say something about wrong, and then be involved in the changing wrong. And they saw something in me and said, we're gonna hire you to be the assistant track coach and the director of facilities at that point, and the soccer coach. We're gonna take money from this place to that place, and we're gonna give you your $9,000.
Were you any good as a soccer coach?
Yeah, we won the league. We beat, in a single year, we beat UNC Chapel Hill. We beat Mark Burson while he was a player. We beat Duke. We beat NC State. In the playoff, we upset Clemson, which was ranked 4th in the country. We beat Appalachian State, who had finished 2nd in the nation 2 years earlier. I'm in the Hall of Fame basically because of the success we had as soccer. And many people said I should have stayed at that and I could have made a lot more money. But I'm a coach. Everything I knew about soccer, I learned in a book, and then learned by doing camp at West Point, and had a lot of great kids that just needed somebody that cared about them, and they won it. It wasn't me. They just let me. I wasn't nothing but 23 years old to 27 years old, and some of them were seniors taking classes with me just one semester early, and I'm taking graduate courses with them. So it was a matter of, I knew who they were and was able to communicate with them. I've got phone calls from some of them at this point about, hey, they started my role and stuff.
Well, soccer's loss was track and field's gain. So track and field is a unique sport in that there's so many events, disciplines, men's and women's. You have individual team champions, and you've had both of that. You've had all of that. What did you love so much about track and field? Because there's a lot going on.
Track and field was diverse. Track and field, love is what my family was, and everybody was always at my house as I was growing up. My mother, we helped raise the neighborhood. And track and field is a neighborhood. It is big guys throw shot puts, tall guys high jump, skinny guys run the distance. It's straight, gay, it's African, it's Moroccan, it's Kenyan, it's Irish, it's everything. If you can't love, if you just isolate and you coach a men's sport, I coach high school football. I coach Donnell Wolford and I also coach Brad Edwards. I mean, Brad Edwards, I taught Brad into coming to South Carolina instead of Florida State when I coached in high school. And, well, it's kind of like when you were only isolating coaching football, you only had guys. And if you coached cornerbacks, you had long, tall, you didn't get to be the guy that coached the offensive line. But in track, it's not like if you coach JV basketball and basketball, you only have guys. If you coach women's basketball, you only coach girls. But when you coach track, you coach people. Just all people. Yeah. Emotional people, depressed people, sad people, lonely, excited, and all in a moment of thrill. You can have all of those happen in a stumble and a straightaway in first place. And you get 5 minutes to pick yourself up and get ready to warm up to be on a relay with 4 other people depending on you. So what I like about it is so much like life. You cannot lock yourself in a gated community in track field. You got to come out of it sometime. And you got to learn how to adapt and be with the whole world. And it's the whole world. It's the biggest sport in the world. It's every 4 years, everybody in the world eyes is on track and field.
You told some neat stories about some of your former athletes that you've coached. The great story of the young lady who she thought she wanted, she was going to finish down below. She finishes first. All that of all the champions and everything you've coached, or even folks maybe that didn't win a champion, does something stand out as the most satisfying? I mean, you had a team national championship. You've had individual national championships.
Probably one of the most satisfying things I read is the humanitarian millions of the people who do my sport, so that not my sport, but do sport. I think sometimes the word coach and the amount of money coaches make lose the humanitarian part. I started out with Bill Carson, who gave me an opportunity. He also gave me a way to express something strong to me, my faith. And being a Christian, sometimes in doing what you do, sometimes many people don't look on that at all. Well, that's just a thought or a slogan that somebody uses whenever they want to get recognition and they're afraid. No, it's real. And I was able to start out as a young guy where I could express what being a country Baptist kid from a church that was called Frye Chapel, that I could express that I believe in the Lord Jesus Christ and that I was saved. And he encouraged me and allowed me to do that. He took us to church in a little town in eastern North Carolina. And people asked him after 3 times that these 4 black boys couldn't come no more. He changed his membership. He said, I can't go to a church where my boys can't come to the church. We're talking about 1972. And later on, he went back to rejoin that church. But at that time, his faith showed to me that it wasn't something that you talk about. So from that day in my life, I saw that your faith had to be on your sleeve, and you had to live it where kids that look at you believe that what you said was who you are. I believe marriage is the same, that kids have to be able to see that marriage is who you are. And when you say family, that it is the same, that you had to be what you say that you are. Not that you don't make mistakes, not that you pick yourself up and go back to being what you said that you are. So my gratification moment was when someone come up to me and says, Coach, thank you for taking me to church with you. And that's happened. In fact, I have Kendra Warren, who lives here, who now is the operations director for track. Mm-hmm. And she reminded me of that when I was at Chapel Hill and I coached her, and she made the Olympic trials finals in 1992. She said, Coach, do you remember when you took us? And I said, not really. No. She said that was really important to me. And then my husband and I, who married after that, always liked the way you and Miss Frye were together. And y'all went to church together. And I said, wow, I had an impact on something that didn't have nothing to do with track. and so little stuff like that makes me have the jiggles or thrills. Is when you think you had a life impact on somebody that went on to have a family and end on stayed in their marriage and went through their struggles and sits and tells me that me and Miss Frye had an impact.
All right. Well, you continue to have an impact. I think you were kind of a mentor to the incoming track coach, Tim Hall. Any advice? Have you given any advice to him, or I assume he's got you on speed dial?
Yeah, he calls me. We talk. He reminded me yesterday that I didn't pick. It was 3 rings before I pick up, and because the first few days during the process, I picked up on the first ring because I really, really didn't want. I didn't want him, but I didn't want Ray and them to miss the opportunity. And I don't want to be a helicopter parent, but I'm just my prayers and my heart is with the guy that's success is who Tim has been prepared to be. I mean, he's went through the processes of being at UNC Charlotte. I'm a North Carolina guy. He's a North Carolina guy. He got an opportunity from being from down at the South Carolina State. He got his graduate degree, and then he went and he got a chance to coach in Charlotte, North Carolina. Well, I got to be on the Eastern North Carolina. Mine's 48 and his is 24 years. Well, from that point, he got to hire Clemson. He helped build probably a program just one step away from national champions, and they made a mistake in a culture, and they separated that program. He took the kids out of that program, and he helped the guy get the job. The guy got the job at Kentucky, who's now the head coach, is winning championships at Texas. All the athletes that got them started at Kentucky were the kids that left Clemson that was ready to help Clemson win a national championship. Those kids went into that program, and in turn, that coach got the job to go to Texas. Tim is left again. Mm-hmm. All right, Tennessee opens, and the program is at a point where it had won a national championship. New coach comes in, things get cleared out. The first guy to keep the program together, they call Tim. So Tim helped build it to where it's a contender, and then the Kentucky job opened. The guy from Kentucky that was there went to Texas. You think they're going to call Tim to come make Kentucky work? Nope. They hired someone else and called Tim to come help hold it together and get it back to where it's a top 6 team in the country. Well, that's kind of like Coach Frye go to NC State. NC State is 6th in the country. They moved Coach Frye to Florida. He recruits, they win Triple Crowns and job open in South Carolina. He don't get the job in South Carolina. He goes to the University of North Carolina. They win 14 conference championships, and then jobs come open around the country. Then finally a job comes to South Carolina again, and he gets South Carolina. And he called me twice in jobs that's open here. And both times I didn't hire Tim. And both times he asked me different things about what was the next place and the next thing. Every time and there's been bad head jobs that have been available. In fact, I got a young man call me last night about a bad head job. It's in vogue to have young men that are prepared for the right job, because you can get locked in the wrong one. And this guy has prepared and been prepared, but this is the right one. I just want to feel that we do the right thing for the right one. I think Mike McGee allowed me to get who I wanted into school. That was the thing. Mike, he says, what did it take to get here? I said, what do you got? I had to be the same with Tim. This is the job. You have to be willing to take what South Carolina has, not what the major big Power 5. You can make a name for yourself, and this is the place to do it. And that same thing as I told Ray and I told Chris. Hey, we got to sell our family and our approach here to a guy and take care of him. Our name, image, and likeness is very important. Improving the indoor facilities are very important. There's so many things that you help to keep Shane Beamer being successful. You gotta do. We have to find a way, but it's not poor Ray by himself. It's our alumni have to cherish these great jewels that they have, and that's Don Staley, and that's Shelley, and that's Shane Beamer, and this guy right here, he covers 5 sports. For us to be seen as a premier sport league in the country, if you are a top 10 program in track and field, that means if you are top 10 and you are a runner-up in basketball or your football is a top 20 program, you end up being a top 10 program in the country. This is the only way you go against the Southern Cals or the Floridas or the Texases is on a national level. It is in this sport here at this time with this guy. And that's the way I feel about Tim Hall. Am I going to be available? Only if Tim Hall calls and he gives me a chance to answer the phone in 3 rings, because Mr. Frye gets the first ring. My grandkids get the second ring. And then Tim Hall, he gets the 3rd ring. That's the way I feel about it, because of his character that I watch, his family values, and how he treats his wife.
All right. Well, last thing for you, Coach. How do you want to be remembered here at South Carolina?
Louis's boy from Vast, North Carolina. Between 85 and 95. I know the people. I am the people. He's one of us. That's all. Whenever they look back, they say Curtis Frye was one of us. He didn't do everything that everybody wanted him to do. He didn't say everything everybody wanted him to say. He kept it real. And if you met him somewhere in the elevator, he had a speech for you about, hey, treat the children right. Don't put your hands on them. Do the things in their best interest. And everybody don't have to like me, but wrong needs to feel uncomfortable. So sometimes when somebody don't smile or turn in the wrong direction, I'm a pretty happy guy, because I got a feeling that there's something I stand for that makes you uncomfortable. And that's the guy that, and when I'm making everybody feel comfortable, I was in some places I shouldn't have been. Louise wouldn't have been happy. Bustin' Louise would have been disappointed. So I want to remember this. I didn't like everything about that guy, but I knew where he stood.